Welcome to the Hope for the Journey podcast, a weekday wellness tips program presented by Dr. Denise Marie, Third Order Carmelite. Dr. Denise is a professionally qualified clinical psychologist, health and wellness professor and coach, counselor, plus medicinal herbs educator. Each Hope for the Journey podcast features a well-being key from Dr. Denise, helping you meet your self-care needs for living well. Listener discretion is advised because this and other Hope for the Journey episodes may contain discussions surrounding behavioral health problems and other actual potentially triggering topics.
Welcome back to Hope for the Journey. I hope things are coming along okay for you. My name is Dr. Denise. And on today's episode of the podcast, our topic is decoding emotions, which is a psychological self-care key for living well. Did you know that many people find certain emotional reactions to be annoying obstacles? Especially the emotions of sorrow, aversion, hate, fear, hopelessness, and anger. So then, because they find such emotions irritating roadblocks, their response to these emotional charges is usually either to numb the emotions or vent the emotions. However, it is not beneficial to make a habit of numbing emotions. And it is not beneficial to make it a practice to vent emotions. You see, each emotion or other kind of feeling that has been moving inside you actually has a positive intention. Each emotion is a piece of communication, a signal for you, drawing your attention to something going on. Each emotion is a helpful sign for self-knowledge in service of options for your behavior. So to live well, it is a much better response to fully feel how your heart has been moved and then decode your emotions instead of numbing them or venting them all. Then these naturally occurring emotions can actually offer some meaning to what has impacted you when you are listening to what your felt emotions are trying to tell you, given they do serve as pieces of communication for your life. Do you know how good your emotions vocabulary is? Is your emotions vocabulary at a high level? Or is your emotions vocabulary in need of some improvement? Let's take a look more closely at the set of emotions I identified a few minutes ago, which many persons consider as irritating stumbling blocks. I wonder how much thought have you given to the reality that the emotion of sorrow indicates you're feeling a loss of some kind, a sadness that can connect you to others for some compassion, maybe even a hug or a little love. How much thought have you given to the reality that aversion points to a circumstance you would want to turn away from, to shun, to shake your head no to something that is not right for you? Have you given much thought to the reality that hate, the emotion of hate, signifies that you are really disliking what's happening, that nothing about what's occurring would make you like it, How about fear? The emotion of fear gets you ready for possible danger, gives you a chance to assess the safety level of a situation so you can more easily address it. Have you given much thought to the reality that feeling hopeless means something is hard to discover where to put your hopes in? That there is such a likelihood of investing in a false hope? And that anger is an emotion which signals a degree of unfairness is going on, providing you the opportunity to carefully figure out the impact something is having on you and fight against an unjust circumstance. This review of sorrow, aversion, hate, fear, hopelessness, and anger reveals how there are messages contained in such God-given emotions. And once you have picked up on what information your emotions are telling you, you are in a better position to let your mind move ahead to wise decision making with good action steps. This is what the field of emotional intelligence, or EQ, is about. So the practice of decoding emotions represents an important EQ skill for both adults and youth to develop. It actually happens to be the case that people who are really good at decoding emotions live better, more successful lives. You can tell by the fact that skilled emotion decoders are better at getting through stressful or adverse circumstances in their lives, better at letting go of grudges, better in their physical health, better in their mental health, better in their occupational wellness, and actually have fewer doctor visits. So overall, it is possible to make decoding emotions a greater habit in your life, all in service of strengthening your psychological wellness, resulting in a more abundant life for you in general. Next, moving forward with today's subject matter, I wish to indicate two leaders for whom decoding emotions has been quite important. First, I can introduce you to a large, multi-ethnic church pastor in New York City named Pete Scazzero. Even though most people would expect a pastor like Pete Scazzero to focus primarily on encouraging his church members in moral and religious practices, he is known to place significant emphasis on what he calls emotionally healthy spirituality. This quote-unquote emotionally healthy orientation Pastor Pete promotes in the spiritual life of his church members includes both feeling God-given feelings and decoding them toward the goal of even better intellectual guidance of emotions when choosing godly action steps. And then the other person I wanted to present to you is Dr. Sarah Thomas, who lives and works in England. Dr. Sarah joined the Clinical Research Unit at Bournemouth University in December of the year 2000 to be a research officer. And now Dr. Sarah is Senior Research Fellow there at Bournemouth. She had worked before as a research fellow in the psychology department of the University of Southampton, exploring how different people develop their likes and dislikes. Dr. Sarah has contributed to fine research about the concepts, evaluation, and therapeutic practice of optimal feeling and decoding of emotions, which she and the other Bournemouth research team members call the skill of emotional processing. as I myself have done research on the connection between unhealthy psychological habits and illness, I have been glad to learn how the Bournemouth University group has scientifically investigated the effects of emotional processing on a good number of medical conditions. These conditions include MS, cancer, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic pain, as well as alcoholism, eating disorders, depression, traumatic stress, plus panic attacks. For my part, I will continue to recommend that those seeking personal counseling and coaching choose behavioral health professionals that provide emotional processing help within their client care plans. So these two prominent persons, Pastor Pete Scazzero and Dr. Sarah Thomas, know well that decoding emotions is a psychological practice for better living. And moving our attention to what's next on today's podcast, I plan to present a piece of music that involves decoding emotions. The song I will feature for you is called The Feeling Song by Hopscotch. So I will read a good amount of the song's subject relevant lyrics, which I discovered online. Emotions make us human, but they can be really hard to understand. When it's tough to face them, you might want to erase them. Just take your feelings in your hands and stuff them down in your tummy. Doesn't matter if you feel mad or crummy. Dig a hole and bury them, excuse me, till they, hi. Maybe we could explore some other ways of working with our emotions. Like what? Your feelings are important, no matter your size. Like a message or alert to clarify. You may want to push them down or react right away. Instead, take a moment and say, this feeling is a message. I'll give it time. I'll give it a name. It has a place. I'll give it space. All my feelings are okay. I feel angry, disappointed, irritated, disgusted, happy, cheerful. I feel scared, worried, nervous, terrified. This feeling is a message. I feel sad, melancholy, blue, heartbroken. I feel love, content. I experience emotions, but they're not in charge of me. Emotions are reactions to the stories that we see. The story I tell myself may not be complete. Just repeat, this feeling is a message. I'll give it time. I'll give it a name. It has a place. I'll give it space. So as this song clearly shows, decoding emotions enhances one's psychological insight as well as one's sense of well-being. At this turning point, I would like to talk about some extra possible care for you and your overall wellness by pointing to the following: 3 health foods and plants that can sharpen your focus so you can better decode each emotion that has been stimulated in you. given that decoding emotions is our psychological self-care key of the day. But please bear in mind to discuss these 3 items with your doctor before including them in your particular dietary routine. I feature this trio of foods next as complementary to body and soul functioning. First, I can point to sage. Sage is not known as the wisdom leaf without good reason. This ancient herb has properties that improve memory and focus. It's an herb for anyone who wants to feel more mentally keen. Research has shown that sage improves memory, brain operations, cognitive skills, and slows down the decline of thought. Sage can be used in cooking or by sipping some sage tea. Yet, take care not to go overboard, even though it tastes good, because sage is pretty powerful. Then I can underline white tea. This type of plant leaf and buds, especially the Ceylon white ones from the Sri Lankan region, support circulation for improved cognitive functioning. White tea may manage brain health, toning down mental excitement that can lead to overactivity to improve focus. White tea also enhances reaction time and sustains energy. Additionally, there are high-quality sardines to eat. Sardines enhance mental performance, attention, brain functioning, blood circulation, and body energy. Eating sardines also improves the nervous system, plus fights stress and even mood disorders such as depression. Only please call to mind my advice to review such foods with your doctor to be sure they're a good match to your individual health circumstances. Otherwise, it pleases me to underline sage, white tea, and sardines as a set of nature's gifts for the well-being of both your body and soul. Also for today, I wanted to share this brief item with you, a post-it note I have written to encourage you when decoding your emotions to spend some time considering the cause of each particular emotional charge. Given this helps with emotional processing and the growth of your emotional intelligence. So I hope you will take to heart these words from a friend, actually from Psalm 42, verse 11. Why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you in turmoil within me? Going ahead to another aspect of our podcast today, I can share an app with you in service of improved decoding of your emotions. This app is called the Mood Meter. The Mood Meter was, quote, conceived by Mark Brackett, PhD, and Robin Stern, PhD, from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. This app was developed in partnership with Hope Lab, Charun Sirigar, designer, and Reliable Coders, developers, end quote. The content description for this particular app says it is, quote, a gift of self-awareness for yourself and for others, based on decades of research from Yale. Tell your Mood Meter mobile app how you feel. Expand your emotional vocabulary. Discover the nuances in your feelings. Gain insights about your inner life. Learn what's causing your feelings over time. Regulate your feelings. Use strategies. Enhance how you manage your life. Remember to check in with yourself. Use reminders to check in on your feelings throughout the day. View your report. Learn how your feelings are affecting your decisions, relationships, and performance. Over time, you'll develop emotional intelligence skills that can help you in all areas of life. End quote. Further, going beyond the Mood Meter app I have suggested as a tool for you, you can keep in mind that there are other wellness aids to discover in our Hope for the Journey podcast resource center located on Instagram at Cause for Hope. And lastly, to finish out this evening's discussion points, I wish to let you know how pleased I have been to create this podcast for you today on our valuable subject of decoding emotions, to emphasize the significance of this psychological self-care key for you. And please know that I personally wish you more hope for the journey of greater well-being.
The Hope for the Journey program airs weekday evenings from 7:45 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram and YouTube. Dr. Denise thanks you for listening to her Community Wellness podcast and wishes you to keep in mind that there is cause for hope of more well-being.